because I was missing them.
I do that so much too.
Right, got the armor.
I missed all my shots. Shizo, don't look, please.
It's all good. Scout with iron sights, we're always gonna forgive. That's a rough one to hit with. It's all good. So we have this box that was your goal. Obviously, the situation changed when your teammate went down, and you saw the Pathfinder grapple to the top. Now, one small thing, this is not super consequential, but just to point it out for the future, is if you have an armor swap in mind, armor swap needs to be instant, needs to be very fast. Otherwise, you'll lose half the armor and lose your value. So right here, when you hear him grapple, he's not shooting at you, and he can't even shoot at you right now. So I really wouldn't even bother shooting back at him, because it just gives away your position. Just grab that armor and then think about how you want to fight him now that he has a really good position on the roof, right? Because he's setting up for a good position that you want to counter. Just grab the armor, fuck the ammo, fuck all the other stuff. You'll grab that later, unless there's something you really, really need. Because you're not in a safe position if you stand still here for too long, because he's going to take this high ground. So definitely here, instead of shooting him, grab the armor, just stick with your plan for a second, and then make a new plan for how you're going to fight him.
Okay.
Let's have a look. We'll see it where you... We'll pause right here, just a second after you loot the box, because you do grab the armor fast, so even though you grab other stuff, it's fine.
I just want all that loot, man.
No, I do exactly the same thing, and that's why I keep pointing it out, because I also need to fucking stop doing that. Because it gets me killed, like at least 3 times a day. Alright, so we know that the Pathfinder went up on this building high ground, right? And we also know that he used his grapple to do it, so his grapple is on cooldown. So that's good. For now, you know that he can't rush you for about 10 seconds, which is nice. So now the question is, you have armor, you know it's a 1v1, so how do you want to deal with this?
Well, since I have armor, and it's a 1v1, he has the roof, I'm sort of guessing that he's still on the roof, or that he's just sort of like trying to get out of the area, because I thought he got his boy's banner, where he's going for it, and then he's just going to gun for the respawn beacon. Probably because his teammates are talking about how great my aim is, that sort of thing. But yeah, you know, I'm sort of just thinking maybe I'll go like try and get as close to that building as possible, so he can't really get much of a sight line on me, because he sort of knows where I am. And then if I can get some syringes off, then I've definitely got the win there. And oh, by the way, something that I should mention is at the back of my mind the entire time, and in all my games right now, is just the pressure, man, of wanting to get a high kill game every game.
Yeah, so you're definitely playing more aggressive. Which is okay, because there's a way to learn aggressive and there's a way to learn passive. So we can just, that's why I'm asking you what your plan is, because we can coach you on the aggressive, and that's fine.
Awesome. Yeah, so I'm just taking a look at, like, I'm trying to get as close to him as possible to sort of work out where he is, because I've lost track of him, and I've got 2 ideas in my head about where he's going to be. So I'm thinking, is he on the roof? Did he continue on? And so I'm thinking, if I can get in the building, then I've got some cover at least.
Makes sense,
But I wanted to get some syringes off before then. Yeah, so I'm just sort of thinking about how I want to approach that guy at the moment. Not really going in.
Alright, so we have a plan, and the plan is really poorly written. Our plan is very simple as well, but that's okay. Our plan is kill the Pathfinder, right? It's a 1v1, which makes it fairly easy. He knows where you are. You've correctly identified that. You know where he is. One thing I would point out that's just an easy piece of information to use is keep track of what legend they're playing and how they're using that legend. It takes a while, but telling yourself out loud what they are helps a lot. It's something I do, is I always call out which legend they're playing, because it will help you predict what they're going to do. In this case...
It's something I used to do, yeah.
Yeah, so this enemy is a Pathfinder, right? He's happy, enemy is a Pathfinder. And you heard him grapple to the roof. So what does that teach you? For the next 10 seconds he cannot grapple. So wherever you're going to go, wherever you're going to move to now, if he grapples again, you will hear him. If he runs away just regularly over the floor, you probably won't hear. And what's his other option? In this, that's just specific to this area. There's a jump pad he can use, but that's loud as shit. So if he uses the jump pad or the grapple, you'll hear him. So you don't actually have to see him to figure out where he's going, unless he runs straight away.
God.
Right?
I totally forgot.
It's all good. That's why I'm pointing it out, because this is definitely a slightly more advanced concept, but it helps a lot with aggressive playstyles, because it prevents you from pushing into bad situations and helps you really predict the enemies. So in this situation, because this is such a powerful spot for him to be him, but he cannot move for 10 seconds very far, I just want to reset. this fight is not in your favor. Even if you want to make sure you can kill him, I don't want to fight him from here. Now you said your idea was going into the building, which is totally fine. It means you can't see him, but it means you're safe from him. So that's a good opportunity. Another option for people in chat is obviously going to this building on the right or going behind this truck on the right to pop those syringes and then figure out where the Pathfinder is. But obviously you might lose the kill if you do that. So if you want to play aggressive, going into the building is a good option here. But knowing that he can't grapple away, what I would honestly do is go into the building and then climb onto the roof and contest him. Because why not? He doesn't have his grapple, so you can. Either way, not staying where you are is good. So you had the good instincts, the right instincts. Keep in mind what they're playing, it'll help a bit. Alright, so this is where we ended up. You're in a 1v1, the Pathfinder is above you on the roof, and you are finally popping your syringes. A little bit risky because he can drop down and have a straight sideline on you. And if you use your Void Walk, so that's just quickly legend v legend, why it's important to teach yourself to pay attention to what you're playing, is if you are playing as Wraith against the Pathfinder, you never want to pop your Q first. The person that pops their Q first will probably die, and the advantage goes to the Pathfinder because your Q gets countered by his. He can chase you easily with his grapple, but his grapple goes farther than your Void Walk and you cannot see him. So he can chase you if you use yours first, you cannot chase him if he uses his first. Right, so you never want to put yourself into positions where you will be forced to use your Void Walk, like happened earlier. Against the Lifeline that was fine, because there's nothing she can do about it. But against the Pathfinder it's not fine, it's risky. So putting yourself down here, where he might drop down and shoot you and you have to use your Void Walk, well then you're suddenly on the back foot and you have to basically play catch up for 20 seconds until you get your cooldown back.
Yeah.
So that's just a quick thing of that situation. Makes sense against some legends, if he's a Jibby, or a Lifeline, or a Watson, that's fine. But against a Pathfinder or another Wraith, you cannot take that risk.
Finding myself chasing Pathfinders a lot these games.
Alright, so let's look at this last path, how it played out. And a lot of stuff came in between, so we may have forgotten it for a second. But way at the start of your 1v1, after you grab the armor against the path, we talked a bit about how do you want to approach this fight. Your first instinct was not being out here in the open, but getting into the building where you have cover, so that's very good. And then the next step was predicting what the path is going to do. So we knew he didn't have grapple. His other opportunities were stay on the roof, run away, or use the jump pad. Right? So if you're going into this building, the two options to kill him or go onto the roof or look at the jump pad. Sorry, I just drank water and apparently that's bad for me. So climb on the roof to contest him, or look out into this middle area where there is the jump pads and the res beacon to see if he is running away. So let's skip past the healing real quick, because obviously while you're healing here, you now have spent those 10 seconds for his cooldown. So now he can have grappled. It's a bit of a shame that you didn't go inside first, I think. But it's okay.
Yeah.
But then he does indeed end up using the jump pad. So if you're ready for that, if you're trying to predict what he's going to do, and he's either on the roof or here, I would just first walk up to the building, because it's just a little bit to the window, which is just a little bit more cover. To look over the open area and the jump pads, and if he's not there, that's when I would walk out here and climb to the roof to contest him. Yeah. And if he's not there, I'll just go get the banners. Then you end up killing him. So good shit there. A slightly better approach if you had predicting them a little bit better, so definitely would spend a couple of days focusing on trying to predict how they're going to play based on their legends. So, super useful. And other than that, played that well. Killed the entire squad. Killed 4 people, in fact. So really not much complaining to do about that, I don't think. And then,
yeah, I'll definitely think about that one. This is where it all goes wrong, though, because
this is where it all goes wrong.
I get 3 kills a match, and then directly after 1 squad wipe, then I die.
Yep. That's
like the cycle. So, like, I'm portaling into this fight because basically I don't care about this other teammate. I just want more kills. So I'm portaling in, and then I switch my sights to the G7 just because I'm like, well, it's a sniper, I might as well use it, and I hate the iron sights, so I'll just use what I have.
Yeah, at this range it makes sense to use the scout, so and you're under no pressure, so putting the H-Cock on there is fine, and also the Havoc has great iron sights, so even if you get pushed you can use those just fine. That's not a problem. I want to go back real quick.
Where I am.
Yeah.
Third party.
So you heard the fight when you pushed up, and you decided you wanted to go for kills, which is fine, we knew that. So then let's see where you start your portal.
Let's explore this way.
Somewhere here. Any second now? There we go. Okay, so this is where you start your portal. And then you're going to end up putting it on top of that high ground, right? So the thing of an offensive portal, of using a portal to push in, there's two benefits. So the first is you can approach faster, right? So you'll just be at the fight faster, which is honestly a pretty big benefit because it makes third partying easier. But secondly, you have a way.
Recently,
yeah, and then you have a way out as well. And that's really where the power comes from, is you can take risks that you normally couldn't take, because you have not just your void walk ability to make you invulnerable, you also have your portal to just eat out of there if you have to. So that's the power of the portals.
Yeah, they're super powerful. Something that I realized recently that I thought I'd point out just because I wanted your opinion on it. I've started to notice that a lot of the legends in this game seem to be compensating for some sort of fundamental skill in an FPS. I sort of started to notice when I saw a lot of people that lacked any sort of ability to defend an area well started shifting their way towards caustic. Because he sort of started to fill that hole for them. Bloodhound, basic awareness, Wraith. She's got that exit strategy like covered with her Q ability, and Pathfinder's got some really good positioning skills. Everybody's just gonna shift towards good positioning with Pathfinder just because that's what you do, high ground, that sort of thing. I'm starting to notice that a bit more. Is that what they're supposed to be doing?
Well, sort of. They're not supposed to really counter a lack of a specific skill, but a lot of them do end up doing that, although they overlap a bit more than most people think. So like Wraith and Pathfinder, their strongest ability is just having an oh shit button where they can fuck up their positioning and get out.
I fucked that up with Pathfinder though.
Yeah, but since it's on a cooldown, you would have to be punished for your positioning twice in 12 seconds for it not to work. And that's really, really, really fast for a BR. That's never going to happen unless you grapple to a really bad position, right? So that's why exclusively playing Pathfinder end up in very, very bad positioning skills. But I mean, that's a topic we can get into later because I'll end up making a video on it too. But those are called noob traps, which is a thing in almost every game, especially free-to-play games. Is they'll put in things in the game that are very easy to use, that don't require a lot of skill and get pretty good value. Think of the devotion, think of mercy in Overwatch, think of stuff like that. The point is to get people that have no skills.
I thought she was a skill character.
Sure. The point is,
I don't play Overwatch.
Well, the point of those noob traps is that players that aren't willing to put in the time to get better at the game can still put in a lot of hours and have fun, and obviously that helps them make more money by keeping low tier players active in the game. The problem is that those end in no transferable skills. So there's Mercy players that spend 6 months playing 4 hours a day to get to Grandmaster, then they nerfed Mercy and suddenly they all dropped back into gold, and they had no skills to show for those 500 hours that they've spent practicing, because they didn't practice the things that would help them on other heroes. This is why you don't want to fall for noob traps in games, because you're going to waste all your time. Avoid using the easiest weapons like the Devotion, like the Spitfire. Avoid using the easiest heroes for every game like Pathfinder, because then all of that time that you're spending, you're not actually building the skills you need to transfer to your next game. So your portal gives you the opportunity to reset out of a fight, right? So you start your portal here out in the open, very, very visible. Yeah. So now if this fight ends up going poorly and you have to portal back, it's risky, right? But there's also the other part of where is your portal going to end? We talked a little bit about fighting around the Gibraltar's loot box, even if you weren't going to loot him. I said there's no way anybody can push this because you control the area. I don't know if you remember that, right?
Yeah.
So all the way at the start, you killed the Gibraltar, you were going to go for the loot box. I said you don't have to because you control it, so you won't lose that loot. Well, ending portals is kind of the same thing. It's an area you want to control, because if you lose control of the area, the portal is no longer in your favor, but it's in the enemy's favor, because they can now use it to reset, right? So you have to be the one that controls your portal exit. Because of that, where your portal starts and where it exits is way more important than using the max speed or the max distance. A well-placed portal can allow you to reset a fight 6 times in a row and kill everybody. So right now, the starting point is not great, but you also can't see the enemies yet. So how are you going to make sure it ends somewhere in a position that you can hold against them? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's, regardless of where you go with this portal, whether it ends in the right spot is going to depend on luck, because you're not sure yet where they are. So it's great to approach with speed with the portal, but I'm just pointing out that if you want to use an offensive portal, make sure it ends in the position where you want to be, and it starts in the position where you want to run away to.
Okay.
So here in this area, if we look at it, Now that we know in hindsight, obviously, that the enemies are over here, there's a couple places where I maybe want my portal to be. So I'm going to make this slightly easier to see. Enemies are over here in this square. Enemies. So that's obviously not where you want your portal to be, because they can take it as well. So what are powerful positions against them? You've got a little high ground here with some cover that you can use. Maybe here in the back, here in the back. These are all good positions. And then here you've got walls as well that you can use. So this is also a pretty good position. Right, so you have 3 areas. Let me do it in a different color. So that actually kind of makes sense. I'm trying to make all of this more more sensible. So this would be a good position to be in. This would be a pretty good position to be in, and this would kind of be fine. Even behind this wall would kind of be fine. So these are all kind of decent-ish positions, right? Whichever one you want to take, totally up to you. I don't care. So if your portal would end in one of these positions, and let's say start where you are right now, and let's think of how that fight looks. So we're going to make a blue for a portal. You're going to start your portal here. And you're going to portal over to, we'll do the left one, because that's easy. And you're going to make your portal over here, right? Now you've got a powerful position, way closer, because you have a speed boost, right? So you can get away with this, thanks to the portal. You have a position way closer where you can kill them from. And if you have to go back through your portal, well, now you're in an incredibly powerful, defendable position where they cannot kill you and you can heal, because you have this high ground. Even if they follow you through the portal and you're still using your battery, you can literally jump down to buy an extra 2 seconds. Or throw a grenade on the portal if you have an incendiary. But even if you start, like, if you push into here, because it's a strong position, they definitely won't kill you. Let's say one of them is a god player, headshot you 3 times, so you go back through your portal to heal. You can start a bat, they can literally all follow you, and you can just drop down and you'll still finish your bat, because you have such a good position, right? So this is why thinking of where you're going to start and where you're going to end the portal is super powerful. So you have the right idea to start a fight with an aggressive portal if you want high kill games. Just think of the spots where you're going to put them. It will help a lot, I feel like. Because it can give you such strong area control.
With them before, but yeah, just going in with a bit of a smarter portal might mean that I can just reset more easily.
Because now the downside of this is that this high ground is just slightly too far away to be really effective if you don't have like a longbow or Kraber or something, which is fine. But if you give up this high ground, you no longer have value from your portals, and if you want to get value from your portals, you have to stay in a bad spot. So you've anchored yourself to a less powerful position instead of to a more powerful position. So that's kind of something you want to avoid.
True. Yeah, I would want to avoid that.
You're holding high ground, so this is nice. And here, this is has to do a little bit with what Bert, also known as Biff, talked about earlier, or asked about earlier, that we answered. Is scouting. Whenever you're not shooting, you're looking around, and this is a very good habit. So you're shooting for a very long time here, but as soon as you reload, I see you looking to the left a little bit, I see you looking to the right, and you end up spotting this team here thanks to that. I'm trying to find the moment, but I'm bad at pausing.
Oh, did I actually look at them? I thought they started shooting at me.
No, you're actually looking around. So the first time you reloaded, you only looked to the left a little bit, which is fine because you saw a team coming from here. And the second time you reloaded, you probably... you develop a feeling for this when you play more, so this is probably just the amount of time that you can stay ADS where you start feeling uneasy. For me, it's a little bit shorter than this, and so I start looking around a little bit faster. But we all have a certain amount of time we develop over time where you're like, you know what, usually if I'm ADS for this long, I get shot in the butt, and I'm going to start looking around. So we can see here that just when you're reloading, when you're healing, looking around, and also just being on this good high ground position with your portal allows this third party to not be a danger to you, which is very good.
And then here's where I just go, oh shit.
And here, so you've broken their armor, they've broken yours, but it's a 3v2 because you didn't res your teammate. So I would still say this is not really an advantage for anybody. You have the position, they have the manpower, right? Yeah. But you have one more advantage because of your approach. You have a portal. It's a little bit far away because you didn't put it in the right spot. But you can portal out and heal and come back, and they probably won't have healed yet, and they won't know where you'll be coming from because they don't know where the portal goes. So if you're going to have an aggressive portal, you have a minute of using that and get some value out of it. Also,
portals last a minute. I always wanted to know.
There you go. Yeah, portal. Not only does a portal stay for a minute, in a minute, Wraith gets 38% ult charge. You get it slightly more if you deal damage, of course. So right now you're on 26, so about 2/3 of your portal has been used. So you've got, what, 20 more seconds? There you go. The other thing you can do is look at the ring timer when you put your portal down if you're in a safe spot, and then just count down a minute from there. Once you're at around 38%, you'll have your portal will end and will disappear. So you still have time now. Even if you go through and then it ends, at least you have ensured safety, and then you've got a guaranteed reset, and you can figure out how to re-engage. So that's always worth it. So there you go. So you have a possible reset here. I mean, you still get the battery off, so it's fine. But definitely, if you're going to use those portals, try and make it a habit to use them as much as possible. All right, so you end up...
Pretty good cover, yeah.
Was that your teammate shooting from the right or an enemy? I couldn't tell because I missed you.
Something I wanted to point out there. That Peacekeeper cloud of dust. Like, the one thing that I was thinking about there was, damn, I really cannot see this person at all.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm hip firing. And none
Which
of
is fine. This range is totally fine for hipfire, and I paused at the exact right moment to show why this game is stupid when it comes to muzzle flash and visual clutcher. You're literally hitting this enemy right now, and you can't fucking see him.
What is this?
It's fine, it's fine. We're not going to go into detail. We're doing vault reviews. You're not complaining about the patch. It's fine. We're not worried about it.
True.
Alright, so right here, you came from a little bit of high ground, and you gave it up a little bit, which is... That's okay, you're still holding the high ground a bit. But here, you notice... when you start shooting her with the scout, that you want to be near this rock for cover because you're out in the open. I can see that in your movement that you're starting to use this rock. So definitely want to tighten up your cover usage because you're not actually using it. She jumps over here, whoop, like this, and she's never behind this ledge. So she's never actually covered, so you're never actually covered. You know what I mean? If you crouch here during your reload, so you're near the rock, you automatically have this habit of gravitating towards cover, which all players that play consistently will build that habit. But just like what we were talking about with VODs before, if you hold ADS when you go into a doorway, you'll naturally stop at the right point and not walk too far inwards. And this is kind of what's happening here. You're naturally gravitating towards the rock so that you can use it as cover if you really have to, but you're not actually using it as cover this entire time. Look, you can see you can still see. Okay, there you used it a little bit when you on your second reload, but not quite enough. You're actually fighting out in the open here, even though you feel you're near cover, right?
Right.
So that's a
I
little
always
something.
thought that my cover usage was like on lock, but the more I go over my bots, the more I go, you know.
Well, you can definitely
actually,
see
I'm
that
not
you have
moving
the
as
habit
fast
there.
as I thought I could.
Here's the same thing.
And then this guy destroys me.
Yeah, you naturally gravitate towards this piece of cover right here, which is a good one. Right, so all you need to do from where you're literally looking right now is move up your crosshair a little bit to up here, and then if you get shot is crouch. Right, and then you can go to the right if you want to climb up or run away without being seen, or you can go to the left if they push you and you want to challenge them. But if you crouch, you cannot be seen, right? But instead, you end up moving to your left to get an open sideline. So you do the crouch for the reload here before you see her, so you have the right habits. But as soon as you're under pressure, now you're focused on aiming, and now you left your cover. You still had it, but you've left it. She's now close to it. She now controls it. And now you die.
Yeah, I'm just going out the open. I'm doing that thing that
Exactly.
I always laugh at other people for doing. They
exactly.
like, do this
but
weird thing where
it's hard to notice because you're really close to it. What helps me with this when I've gotten into this bad habit after a while is pre-aiming the cover that I'm using. So putting my crosshair right up onto the edge of it and taking one step at a time until I'm aiming at the enemy to make sure that I'm exposed as little as possible. So
okay.
if you start doing that again, just do that for like a couple games and you'll have your cover used back to where it needs to be. I can actually hear you writing it down. That's cool. All right, so
yes, I've been running all of it down. To be honest, like
nice.
I really like this stuff.